of course, the law must prevail, where parents and institutions should have the right to also make a decision. Joining us via Zoom is Serwaah Mensah. She is a legal practitioner. Good morning, Serwaah. How are you?
Good morning, Berla. I'm good, by God's grace. You?
I'm good, thank you very much. I don't know what you think about the brouhaha with regards to the children not being admitted into Achimota because of their hair. Now GES has rescinded its decision to ask, Achimota School to allow the kids in with their hair. They're saying that we must go with the school rules. What do you say to this?
My argument is simple. There are rights.
Mm-hmm.
There are human rights in Ghana, but such rights are not absolute. They are qualified.
Mm.
So if you have a right to freedom, you have a right to education, you have a right to do something, such rights are limited to some rules and regulations and some other laws.
Mm.
So for example, let's take this case, children's rights. When you go to the 1992 Constitution,
mm-hmm.
Article 28,
mm-hmm.
4, which says that no child shall be deprived by any other person of medical treatment,
mm-hmm.
education, or any other social or economic benefits by reason only of religion, religious or other beliefs.
Yeah.
The same Constitution, according to Article 14(1)(e),
mm-hmm.
also says that every person shall be entitled to his personal liberty, except in the following cases, for the purpose of education and welfare of a person who has not attained the age of 18 years.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a limitation here. We consider them as minors. And so that they need to undergo certain training. They need to be under someone's care. Certain rules and regulations need to, they need to go by certain rules and regulations to be able to operate within where they find themselves.
Okay.
So
carry on, I'm listening.
Yes, okay. So in my opinion, if they have chosen to go to Achimota School, they have the right to education, yes. But Achimota School also has its rules and Achimota School as an institution also has a right as well. So they don't only have rights, the institution also has its own rights as well.
Yeah.
And they have formulated rules and regulations that govern them. And so if you choose to go to that school, then you choose to submit yourself to such rules and regulations. So for example, dealing with an individual is different from dealing with a group of people. When a group of people come together for a common purpose, we are coming from different backgrounds. We are coming from different cultures, different religious beliefs. So if I'm a Christian, Ajwa is a Muslim, Ya is from another religion.
Yeah.
If we come together, if we come together to, let's say, act or do a transaction, how are we going to achieve our aim based on our different religious or cultural backgrounds? Before we'll be able to, even collaborate or come to a consensus, we need to strike a balance. We need to come up with certain rules and regulations that would govern us. Otherwise, I could say that I'm a Christian. My Christian belief says that this, so I don't agree. Ajwa would say, okay, she's a Muslim. Okay, her religion says that, so she wouldn't agree. At the end of the day, if we come together, put together rules and regulations, policies that would govern us, we would achieve a purpose. So that is what Achimota School has. It's made up of a lot of students from several backgrounds.
But
how are they going to train these students to be able to achieve their purpose, to be able to achieve their aim?
But at the same time, schools do not operate in isolation. They're under the umbrella of the GES, and then subsequently under the Ministry of Education as well. There are rules that should govern all these institutions. And of course, there could be exceptions to some of these rules as well. If we're saying that every school should have its own rules and regulations, then it means that the GES is powerless, and in most cases, the Ministry of Education would be rendered powerless, because even if they insist that let's do things this way, the schools are going to argue and say that, well, but we have our own rules and regulations, and so we will abide by those and not, conform to what the ministry is also suggesting. And in that case, nobody wins, only the school wins, no?
Yes. So GS is not considered as a powerless institution. Remember, Achimota School has been there since time immemorial. These are the same rules and regulations that govern them. If you would agree with me, Achimota School is not only a public institution in Ghana. There are several public institutions in Ghana where you're going to, and I believe, Berla, you attended a public school where when you when you had to shave off your hair.
Oh, I'm an Akora, so I'm an Achimotan, actually.
Ah, well, then you subjected yourself to those rules and regulations. Were they arbitrary? I'm not sure they were. If they were, I'm sure parents would have come up to sue Achimota for, such arbitrary rules and regulations. You see, these rules and regulations have been there since. It cannot be broken. It cannot be changed just because of one person.
But would you say that, or would you agree that maybe some of these rules are antiquated? And I'm asking that because I completed Motown many years ago. When I was in school, and I said this earlier, once you're a day student, you're permitted to keep your hair, regardless of your race, your religion. It really didn't matter. You were given the right to do your hair. But once you agreed to be a boarder, you'd have to cut your hair. And there were white girls in my house even who had to cut their hair very low because they agreed to be boarders. And yesterday, an educationist also even confirmed it. He corroborated, and he said that his 2 children had to cut their hair even though they're light-skinned or white, and, their hair is a little different. The texture is a little different from us. And so, but then those were times before. Now we're having this argument again where everybody is questioning whether it's even a good idea to have girls cut their hair in the first place once they're in school, because it affects their esteem. There are a lot of other issues that come up with that. Should we reform some of these policies with regards to our public education, maybe?
In my opinion, I think it doesn't need a reformation. For example, I'll use a lady as an example.
Okay.
If a lady is to keep her hair on in school, Berla, almost every week we are in the salon washing our hair. In fact, every day, if you don't have braids, you have to comb it, make sure everything lies. If you have a wig, you glue it down. You are in school to study. There is no time. You just have like 3 years to be out. So what time do you get to focus on your hair, to lay your edges? What time do you also save to study? I think if they are to be allowed to braid their hair, to keep their hair, it is going to distract. So, for example, it will be a form of distraction.
But there's another angle to this, not to cut you, but we have private schools where students do their hair. Has it distracted them? They also seem to come up with some flying colors even after their exams, their final exams. We see a lot of these students from international schools even getting access to all these Ivy League institutions across the world. Is hair really a problem here?
Okay. So it's a matter of choice. So that's why I gave an example, the distraction as an example. So when you form, every association has its own policies, rules and regulations. They